Aloha and welcome to Live at the Legislature. I'm Richard Raposa, Director of Communications for the Hawaii State Senate. Each week we give you a chance to meet your state senators and hear about the issues, concerns, and legislation here at the state capitol. This week we're meeting one of the Senate's newest members, Senator Jarrett Keohokalole, that's a name, from the 24th District, which includes Kaneohe, Marine Corps Base Hawaii, Kailua, and Ahui Manu. Good morning, Senator.
Good morning.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I'd like to start, you're kind of a new guy here, so I'd like to start with your background. What were you doing before you got into politics?
Well, I graduated from the William S. Richardson School of Law at the University of Hawaii in 2013. And for about a year, I worked in the Department of Land and Natural Resources doing invasive species coordination with the federal government, sort of trying to keep the wasps and beetles and things off of the boats in the harbors. And then in 2014, I ran for the State House in Kaneohe.
And I remember when you ran for that seat, there was a well-known candidate already in the primary, but that you made quite an impression when you first started walking the district and people started meeting you. What made you run? What convinced you to run for that seat?
So my family's been in Kaneohe for a really long time, at least 7 generations. And so I really care about that community. I always wanted to get into public service, and I always wanted to do it in Kaneohe because that's where I'm from, that's really what I know. And so when the opportunity arose, I decided to jump at it. And when I first started to walk the district and walk the neighborhoods, I was pretty surprised by how many of the old timers knew my uncles and aunties. And I had folks tell me stories about my grandfather who passed away before I was born. And so I think they also realized that I had a connection to the community and that I really was invested in, doing a good job and looking out for their interests.
But you also presented yourself as you knew the issues, you were familiar with the challenges for the community. So you weren't just the guy we knew. You were somebody of substance.
Yeah, raising my kids there. My wife is from Kaneohe. She went to Castle High School. We went away for school and we came back because we wanted our kids to grow up the same way we did. And so I think a lot of people understood, that's what we were about, and that we knew sort of how the windward side and how Hawaii has been changing over time, and understood the problems that everyone else is sort of trying to deal with.
And we should, in proper local etiquette, we should remind people that you are a St. Louis graduate.
We should, yeah, absolutely.
Last year you ran for Senate, and that was an open seat with non-incumbent. Chiltekuta was running for lieutenant governor, but you were running against a well-established, long-time colleague from the House. What made you feel like after 4 years in the House you're ready for the Senate?
Well, it wasn't about whether I was ready or not. For me, it was a bigger opportunity to make change. It was a little more stable position. What I realized when I got in is that a lot of our big problems are obviously really hard to solve, and they're going to take some time for us to restructure the systems in state government. The world, in modern Hawaii society has changed a lot. Everyone has smartphones and, smart toasters, and everything's smart except the state government. A lot of our systems are old, set up for, a prior time. The plantation era is really when most of the state government was set up. And so I think people understood that it was time for a change, and that we need to take a longer term view on how we approach the problems in state government. That takes a little longer, and so the Senate offered that opportunity. Also, I wanted to represent all of Kaneohe. In the House, I had about half of it, and no one really cares about the boundary lines in Kaneohe except the lawmakers. So it was an opportunity, and I decided to go for it.
Now, as a freshman, you are already the chair of the Technology Committee, which is pretty impressive. What kind of technology issues do you see as major challenges for Hawaii going forward?
Well, like I said, modern technology is already here in Hawaii. My kids know how to get past my screen code and go on YouTube if I'm watching football on TV. And so the fact that we're an island in the middle of the ocean, and we're still so heavily dependent on data and connectivity, that presents some real obvious challenges. Our first responder networks pretty much how we do business and our whole way of life is dependent upon having things like Wi-Fi and broadband connectivity, which are set up by undersea, just a handful of undersea cables, by a handful of real big wireless antenna systems. And the need for data connectivity and our reliance on it is only growing by the day. And so it's really important that we understand what that all means, what the stakes are, and how we position ourselves to make sure that we're going to progress like the rest of the world responsibly.
You are also the chair of the Senate Hawaiian Caucus,
Yeah.
the Senate side of that caucus. And I have to say, you, Senator Kahele, and Senator Kanuha, your other freshman colleague, the three of you are an impressive sight. The three young, sharp, extremely talented Native Hawaiian men. And that gives us a larger Native Hawaiian contingent in the Senate than we've had before. The Native Hawaiian Caucus has been very vocal in the past couple of weeks, including with the Mauna Kea skiers. Do you see this as perhaps being a way for the Hawaiian Caucus to be more vocal in the Senate in particular, or in government overall?
Well, I think it's our responsibility. It's a responsibility that I take very seriously. And so, it wasn't my idea to be in charge of the Hawaiian Caucus. I was asked. And it's not only the three freshmen. Senator Favela is also a freshman, but he's Native Hawaiian, Michelle Kidani, Kalani English. And so we just got together and decided to reform the caucus and see if we can utilize the caucus as an opportunity to advocate for the Native Hawaiian community, but also, send the message that we're here, we're at the table, and we're continuing to engage on important issues. And we have a role to play. I think we should.
What do you think the top issues are going to be for the Hawaiian Caucus?
Depends on what we can all agree on. I think that's the real challenge. And that was really the point of it, was to get the Hawaiian legislators and the legislators who support Hawaiian issues, represent Hawaiian communities together and talking. Often, especially in the media, it's so easy and so routine to see a picture on the front page of an angry Hawaiian with their fist clenched screaming. And my goal with this caucus effort is to make sure it's known that there are members of our community at the table in the legislature taking responsibility for issues that affect our community and trying to find solutions and ways to bring people together and show that we can get along, we can move forward, and we can work issues out.
Okay, I'm sorry, but we just ran out of time. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time on Live at the Legislature.